Hello and welcome to Speak Up 2. Speak Up 2 is an event where we as Fuse have invited three incredible speakers to come and speak about their journeys since Speak Up 1. We've invited Kofi, Danielle and Louise, who you'll be seeing in just a few seconds. Speak Up 1 happened in March, a week before the first lockdown here in the UK, and back then we had four different speakers who all came and spoke about their incredible creative journeys, creative careers and their experiences being industry experts in the field. Hopefully, it'll be encouraging to see them again and see exactly what they've been up to since the first Speak Up event. Since Speak Up 1, Fuse has grown massively, and it was very unexpected, but it's great to see so many people supporting the platform. So hopefully we'll be able to do more of these events very soon, and hopefully in person as well. So for now, thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoy.
Hiya, my name's Danielle Rhoda and I'm an illustrator, animator, and I like to call myself a maker of things as well. I am originally from Poland, but I'm based in Manchester, although currently I'm actually in Barcelona for a few months, just working on some new bits. So today I'm going to be catching up with you guys a little bit about my journey so far since the last Speak Up event, which was in March 2020, I think, right before the first lockdown. And since then, a lot of things have happened. But maybe I'll talk a little bit more about my work first. As you can see, I like to draw characters, a lot of people, but I do try to capture them in a slightly playful way. I like to use color and different textures, and I've done work for magazines as well as editorial sort of commercial work as well, and I'm playing around with different materials like woodcuts and ceramics. Right after the last Speak Up event, we literally did go into lockdown maybe within like a week, I want to say. I don't remember exactly. I mean, we all know it's been like a blur now. But I basically found myself without a job, and a lot of time on my hands as well, and I needed to find a way to make money. I think the only thing at the time that I could think of was to try and have a go at freelancing. And I actually reached out to York Law magazine, Daisy, and sort of asked if I can be a bit of an intern and do some bits for her. So those were actually a bit more graphic design based than illustration, which is something that I also enjoyed. And it was a great way to sort of get into making to brief more than just, by myself. But yeah, I think I was just trying to do like a lot of different things and use my time productively whilst trying to get a job as well in lockdown, which was impossible. And I thought to make a card or some greetings cards, because I always really wanted to try those. I always really wanted to make some cards, but I think whenever I've tried, they've never felt sort of proper to me, like they weren't finished. So I had to go and just turned a really simple, very, very simple illustration like this one here into a greetings card, and printed like a few copies on printer.com and decided to post it. Had it up on my Etsy for a bit, and it got a lot of really good feedback. So obviously that's always encouraging. And since then, I've been sort of pursuing that more. Another thing that came out of the first lockdown is like collaborations. So I don't know if you guys are familiar with Studio Desk, but it's run by Catherine. Well, it's like a collective between Catherine Steinbacher and Emily Down. Both, I think, have graduated from RCA Animation. And they came up with this brilliant idea of getting together like lots of different animators from around the world and just to submit like 10-second clips of their experience during lockdown. And they wanted to make it like a positive thing, obviously, because it was such a sad time. And the idea was to just capture something that made you feel good in that time. So yeah, I came up with this because I really love cooking, and it was like my moment of happiness when I got to cook. And then actually really nicely from that, I met a girl called Lillian, and she's a writer director based in New York, and now we're collaborating on a bigger animation as well. So yeah, that started to sort of give me more purpose. I think what I'm trying to say is that like I tried to look for something that gave me a bit of purpose in time when, you know, I was sort of just left to my own devices. And so working on developing my portfolio and like doing this little animation was the first time I've approached animation since graduating. And yeah, it felt really good to finish something as well. And then a lot of things have happened. That's in summer. So quite a few months in, like I've been doing quite a bit of work, and it's nice that reached out and they did a really nice feature on me, as well as at the same time I got to speak to Katie on Creative Boom, which was like a really great opportunity for both, obviously for to get my work shown, and from that I started to receive some clients, which was just, I mean, incredible, because yeah, all of a sudden I was able to sit down and actually feel like I was doing work, you know, working. So here are some clients that I've done work for since everything sort of happened. Yeah, so some of these are people I've reached out to, some of them are commissions that got sent to me, or I've been recommended for a job from a previous client, and yeah, I felt super, I mean, I still do, I feel super grateful, especially for those recommendations, because you just never really know where the next job might come from. But yeah, I think I would really, well, I would really like to talk about a couple of the projects. So the New York Times, of course, when they reached out, that was just, I was mind blown. And we've done a really simple illustration. I felt really sort of grateful that I got to illustrate for this topic, what to say when people tell you the coronavirus fears, because obviously it was, I mean, it still is the major subject, and I wanted to draw, I think, for a story that like had a bit of depth, meant something to people. So yeah, I was really happy with this commission. And then I got approached by Great Big Story, which, for those who are not familiar, used to be this a bit like BuzzFeed, where they would post a lot of curated like videos and clips on different covering different subjects, and they reached out to me during the whole Black Lives Matter movement in summer, to participate in like a bit of a group collaboration on animation, but the film is called What I Wish You Knew, and it's basically a almost like a, well, it's a snippet of different voices of Black people and talking about their experiences of being Black. And I got to do 3 clips for it, so 3 different people, and it was one of the best animation experiences I've had to this date. It's actually led on to me receiving more animation work, which I'm doing right now. And yeah, again, I think quite a bit of my work felt quite playful, like I mentioned before, but it almost felt like maybe there wasn't as much depth to it. So then I think I started to feeling a little bit like an imposter, because I was thinking, well, all this stuff is going on in the world and it all is so heavy. And here I am like doing little funny illustrations. And I think I really wanted to do something that would almost matter or like help convey a bigger story. So when they reached out to me, that was like a dream project. And yeah, and also from the technical sort of point of view, again, before this, I've not actually done such extensive animation work. I think they reached out to me because I've done some shorter GIFs and like that studio desk animation as well. So I was again super grateful for the opportunity, because they just trusted sort of with the fact that I could do it, and I was given a lot of creative freedom. And yeah, please do check it out on my website. All the 3 clips are there, and then I think you can still find it, the full piece on via CNN, because unfortunately Great Big Story have now shut down. But oops. So I think sort of towards the end of the year, I was contacted by, it gets a bit confusing. I got contacted by a lady from this organization called Urban Learners, and I think they organized a lot of sort of educational programs for children, especially in London. And every year, the City of London organised this art trail called Sculpture in the City, where they get a collection of different artworks from various artists, and lend them from galleries as well as straight directly from the artists, and display them out in the city, which is a great way for people to get sort of acquainted with contemporary art and sort of look at the city, especially the City of London area, which is the central sort of part. People get to sort of, walk around the art and experience the city in a different way. Because of lockdown, unfortunately, the new set of artworks for that year couldn't be put up. So sort of the previous exhibition stayed, and all the events and everything around it was cancelled. So to sort of keep children connected and still give them a bit of an experience, they've reached out to me to design a digital learning resource, and that is like an activities book for both families and schools, as well as some little sort of introductory animations to different subjects covered. And again, there's a lot more sort of to talk about with this project, and you can find that on my website again, or by going straight to Sculpture in the City and choosing Learn from the tab. I've done animations, I've done spot illustrations, as well as some full-sized illustrations, and it's a really sweet project. I really enjoyed it. And then sort of in the same theme of having my work sort of be part of something bigger, or be part of the city. Around the same time, there was the art trail in Manchester, which you guys might all be familiar with as well, organised by Be in the City, and it was called 50 Windows of Creativity. And because I've previously done some work for People's History Museum, they've put me forward for doing a piece again, and to also have it displayed there, which I was super happy about, because working with them was super nice, and the previous banner that I've done for them was still up, so it was really kind of incredible to be able to see both of my works right there in the city centre. And again, it was very much just do what you want to do. And I've always fancied doing like a piece about Manchester. So this one here I call A Day in Manchester. And it was really nice as well, because it's been a really long time since I've drawn from life, which is what my practice used to be. But now, like during lockdown, I was working, of course, from my home and sort of just pictures. So I decided to just take the tram in one day and draw from life. And so all these characters are actually people that I saw around St. Peter's Square during just one day. So yeah, it feels quite kind of like documentary, has a documentary style vibe to it, I think. Yeah, but also a bit playful. I tried. And then, so yeah, like I mentioned, the cards to begin with, I continued doing the cards as well throughout the year. It was really sort of important to me, but also it just felt like a totally different thing, and having like a real life finished thing at the end that people can buy and have in their homes was like such a nice feeling. And I'm a sucker for gold foil, so I tried to include that as much as I could in all of my cards. But yeah, I'm still going with the cards, and now I'm happy to say like I'm selling online as well, because I had a shop, but I had to close it over summer, being away. Like all my stock is still in Manchester, but I'm hoping to get back into it this winter. But now I'm on Thoughtful, Fi, as well as Paperboy London, and yeah, Like, I really enjoy doing cards. And also I want to start reaching out to independent shops, which I did start doing, but yeah, there's things that I want to do with cards. So currently, like I said, I'm in Barcelona and I came for a few months. And it's been like a bit of a wild ride because I think I didn't realize how much I really enjoyed doing the card side of things in the online shop. So now I'm sort of left to sort of just draw. And I think I've been trying to sort of rethink my style. Like, I've not drawn for a super long time before coming here as well. Like, it's been a bit of a struggle. But now I think I'm finding, or at least trying to loosen up a little bit more. So maybe not quite finding my voice back, but I'm still like doing work. But yeah, it's just like a lot looser. And these are just some examples. Yeah. Thank you very much, guys. Yeah.
Hello, my name is Kofi Nelson and I am a freelance creative from Manchester. Some of the creative endeavours that I am involved in includes graphic design, videography and music production. Today I would like to talk to you about how my musical journey has been since Fuse last invited me to deliver a talk at their event. I hope you enjoy. So in April last year, I had the honour of collaborating with the amazing photographer Sophia Carey on a project of hers called Homage Croydon. The aim of this project was to explore themes of coming of age and also the way that people interact with their environment. My role for this project was to create the soundtrack. I like to think of it as creating a canvas for each person to express themselves and tell their unique story. In June of 2020, I graduated from university. The lockdown of 2020 meant that I had to finish the latter half of my degree from my bedroom, which, to be honest, I didn't mind. For my degree, I studied graphic design, so at times having my creativity confined to four walls was difficult. In order to get past this, I created a strict work plan and stuck to it, which helped me out tremendously. In the end, I finished my degree with a 2-1 in graphic design. No graduation ceremony, but I can live with that. In July of 2020, I appeared on the Creative Boom podcast. So first and foremost, shout out to Katie for this opportunity. And we met up and we talked about all sorts of stuff, from music to university to meditation. It was lots of fun and I'm super grateful for this opportunity. So in August of 2020, I brought my YouTube back to life. I brought it back from the dead. I realised that over the years I'd created so much music that I wanted to share with the world, but the majority of it was just sat on my computer, basically collecting dust. That's when I decided to bring my YouTube channel back to life and start uploading my music again. The main goals of my YouTube channel are to give my music a new home and also use this as a way to connect with fellow creators and music listeners all around the world. So now it's January 2021 and I was doing some reflection, as you do some reflection on the previous year when I realised that I'd been making music for 5 years. Where did all that time go? I look back on the highs, the lows, and I'm just super grateful to have accomplished the things that I have. What I also realised is that I don't need to be comparing myself to others because I'm exactly where I need to be right now. So in April of 2021, I took part in a music remix competition. a company called BeatStars hosted a competition whereby I had to remix the song Mystery Lady by Masego and Don Toliver. For this music competition, I wanted to just make something that was different and exciting. Now, although I didn't win the music competition, I had a great time and I learned a lot of valuable skills and techniques that I can use in my music going forward. So now it's May 2021 and I sold my first beat to a recording artist. So after uploading my music to my YouTube channel consistently for a couple of months, I noticed that one beat in particular was getting around 1,000 views every week. Once I noticed this pattern, I said to myself, someone's gonna come and buy this beat off me, I know it. And shortly after, a recording artist kindly came along and purchased this beat off me. I remember getting the email that said I'd made a sale, and I remember feeling excited and reassured to know that my music is reaching the right people. So now it's July 2021 and I've grown my YouTube channel to over 460 subscribers and 45,000 views in under a year. I remember just under a year ago, I said to myself, Kofi, start a YouTube channel, it's now or never. So I got a few videos ready and then I started as soon as possible. My channel has grown massively in the last year. I'm super grateful for that. I'm super proud. I think the main reason for my YouTube channel's growth is to do with me showing up consistently and providing both quality and quantity content. So making music, it really is a privilege, and I always remind myself of that. It's not that I have to do this, but instead I get to do this. Some people in the world don't have access to the same kind of resources that I do, which is why it's very important for me to remain grateful for everything. When I delivered my last talk, I ended it by saying how much of a blessing it is to make it this far in my music career. But I couldn't have made it this far without perseverance and giving without expecting anything in return. You can apply these things to many different aspects of life, and if you do, you will increase your chances of being successful. So that's it from me. Thank you for taking the time to listen, and I hope you have a beautiful day.
Hi everyone, hope you're all good. My name is Louise Ruiz, most people call me Louise Ruiz, and I am a graphic designer and creative based in Manchester. So today I'm going to kind of chat about all the stuff that I've been up to in the past 18 months since the last Speak Up event. Obviously there's been a lot that's gone on globally, but this is kind of like how I've coped with it and what I've been up to, and I'm going to try and make it quite positive and like stuff I've learned and things like that, but yeah, we'll see. So hope you enjoy. Yes, so the last speaker event, just to summarize, basically I kind of just talked about how I got into design. I did it a bit later than some people. I didn't do it at uni or anything. I kind of did something else and then did loads of random jobs and random things and lived in random places. And eventually I was like, okay, I need to get a real person job and have a bit of a career and do something that I actually enjoy and get some satisfaction out of. So I did the graphic design course at Shillington, the one based in Manchester, which was really good. Really enjoyed that. I'd definitely recommend if anyone's interested. I'm happy to ask any questions or anything like that. But yeah, that was basically the last thing I talked about. And actually, I kind of ended the last event on me being made redundant from my previous job, but not actually from the pandemic. The company at the time just wasn't doing that well, which, you know, it happens. I'd not been in that situation before, but it was obviously terrible timing. So before it all kicked off, I was actually doing quite well in terms of applying for stuff and getting things back. But yeah, as we started to go into lockdowns and things, everything came back with hiring freezes. We're not hiring for this role anymore. We're not sure what's going to happen. We'll be back in touch. Even places that I'd interviewed for. and everything just like we all know, just shut down. So yeah, it was a bit shit and a bit stressful. And basically I ended up kind of leaving the country, kind of luckily, because my parents and my sister and brother-in-law actually live in Guernsey in the Channel Islands. And it was quite funny because at the time my sister was a bit of like she really got into the whole pandemic thing from like January, and she was a bit tinfoil hat, and she kept ringing me. I was like, you need to come here, you need to get out. And my brother-in-law had like hoarded loads of food and like rabbit traps in case we had to like hunt for our own food. And I thought she'd be absolutely ridiculous. I was like, no, like she actually rang me before doing the last speaker event and was like, you can't go to this event with loads of people. You're being irresponsible. And obviously at the time, nothing had really happened yet. So it just felt ridiculous and like she was being dramatic. Turns out she was right, which was annoying. And so I luckily got on one of the last few planes out of Manchester into Guernsey and to stay with my family, which was really lucky. Which was good, just mainly because I was at the time living in a 2-bed flat, so it would have been shit to be stuck in there because we had no outdoor space. It was very small, and obviously I wasn't working. So the positive about being at my mum and dad's house was, luckily they were happy to cover stuff like food and things like that. So I was still paying rent and bills, but I didn't need to stress too much about feeding myself or anything like that. So that was one nice thing. And yeah, I actually kind of enjoyed it. I was there for 3 months in the end. I didn't think I would be. I literally took like next to nothing in a suitcase, and had to order the weather turned out good, didn't it? So I had to like order loads of clothes because I had nothing with me. And yeah, it was all right. Like I don't want to make light of the situation because obviously it was horrible for a lot of people, but I personally quite did like having that little step back from life and just chilling out for a couple of months. And like obviously I know it was shit and I don't want to say otherwise, but but obviously I was actually unemployed, so as much as sunbathing in the garden was fun and it was nice to not think about things, especially when I was in this tiny little island in the middle of nowhere, still need to look for work, and it was just really stressful, like just looking on Indeed and LinkedIn and refreshing the page and nothing was coming up, and not even like design jobs. It was stuff like I was looking at admin things, just stuff I'd done with my previous experience, seeing if I could get anything, and there was absolutely nothing. And I actually begged my old job to furlough me instead of making me redundant, which they quite kindly did. They didn't need to, but they understood my situation in that nowhere was hiring and they made me redundant. So that was a bit of a weight off my mind because, like a lot of people, I didn't have anything in terms of savings. Like I was living paycheck to paycheck because I could do and it was the first time, like I've had a lot of different jobs. I think I actually counted it for the last speaker event and it was well over 30, and I've actually had 2 more jobs since then. But I've never been like let go or made redundant or like sacked or anything like that. I've always left on my own terms and always had something else to go to. But yeah, trying to be positive, I actually only ended up being furloughed for 1 week. Part of me is a little bit gutted about, again, don't want to make light of the situation, but a week of being pretty much nearly paid full time would have been nice. But I was really lucky to find a job. I ended up working as a graphic designer for a company that basically did like software for airports and like plane refueling and stuff like that. I still don't know how to explain what they do. But they needed a graphic designer. So interviewed with them, got the job, was really pleased. Like I was just so happy to have something. And it was a really interesting job, I suppose, because first of all, it was not something that I didn't know anything about. So I learned a lot of things. I don't know if those things will ever come in useful again, but I learned them. And they'd not had a designer or anyone like that before. So I was the first one to come in. And it ended up being quite a good opportunity because I essentially rebranded the company. I did all the website. I did pretty much everything. I just had like full scope and freedom to do it, which was, yeah, kind of ended up being a really good portfolio piece and things like that. But yeah, I got frustrated quite quickly with that job, to be honest, just because it was a good company and I really liked everyone that I worked for, and I don't want to be negative about the experience. Like I said, it was good, but I just wasn't being paid enough to do that. Like, there was no one else on my team, so I ended up doing not only like the design, but everything like from copy to marketing to strategy, building an entire website, doing anything like that, which would normally be a whole department of people, which was fine. I didn't mind doing it. I was certainly capable of doing it, but to do all that and be on like a junior salary, it just wasn't right. So I got frustrated with that job quite quickly, and it was made worse actually. Like, I don't actually know if I should tell this story, but basically I accidentally ended up seeing a document with everyone's salaries on. So long story short, like, I was rebranding a presentation for someone who did have access to that information, and they'd linked in a spreadsheet to make a chart, and they obviously didn't realize that looking at the PowerPoint with that chart in, it linked back to that spreadsheet with all the data on, with everyone's salaries on. And so I just innocently clicked on that to like reformat and put it in our colors and all and everything like that, and ended up in this spreadsheet. Obviously looked like, who wouldn't? And yeah, I was at the bottom of the pile of this list of salaries, and not even by a little bit, by like a lot, like tens of thousands. And just felt like a bit of a kick in the teeth, really, just to not only be feel like I was being underpaid for what I was actually doing, but also to be massively underpaid compared to everyone else in the company. And it didn't really help that there was only a few women in the company. I was probably one of the youngest, and like, I would never claim that they were deliberately going like, oh, she's a young woman, we're going to pay less. I don't think that was the case, but sometimes I think stuff like that does feel a bit happen just with like some internal bias, and like, yeah, I think they thought I was a bit younger than I was. I think they thought I was like fresh out of uni, and not that means I deserve to be paid or respected any less, and that's not what I'm saying, but do you know what I mean? It just, sometimes I got a few comments that felt a bit patronizing, and like, because the way I was spoken to occasionally, like, again, nothing out there, nothing rude, but it was just a vibe. And yeah, that was kind of like the final straw, and after that I was just a little bit demotivated, to be honest. Like, you're going to be if you're not being paid enough, and then you realize everyone else is on 10 times more than me, especially when sometimes I was covering other people's backs and you know, fixing their mistakes, and I knew that they were on twice as much as I was earning. But yeah, it was actually a good experience, and everyone there was really nice, and like, I don't want to slag them off because it was good, and obviously I was just really, really grateful to have a job at the time. And yeah, overall the experience was positive, but yeah, I think my lesson was definitely learned in knowing my value, and I don't think I would have taken that job at that money knowing the actual scope of the role. And yeah, next time I'd just ask for more money from the get-go. Like, I did ask for more once I passed my probation, and I got the usual spiel like, yeah, like, oh, well, maybe your next review, like, the company's lost money, there's been a pandemic, or all those excuses. And yeah, it was just a bit shit. And then they were surprised when I handed in my notice because I looked for another job that paid better. Like, you think they see it coming, but yeah, lesson learned is that I would ask for more money from the off, and it was a different situation. Obviously, if there weren't a pandemic and I wasn't essentially desperate, then it would have changed things, but that's a situation at the time. And you know, if something like that was to happen again, I probably would take a job for less money, but I'm going to try not to. Yes, so this hasn't turned out positive at all. But like I said, I learned a lot, and it was a good experience, and I got a good portfolio piece out of it. And yeah, it's better than being unemployed. And I'm quite lucky as well. Once things started opening up, picking up again, I did get some really good freelance projects last year, which was fun. That was the first time I'd kind of done anything properly that wasn't like doing wedding invitations for a friend or something like that. Yeah, a lot of stuff learned in that time. Yeah, I don't even actually feel like my design skills improved massively. I think I've learned a lot about kind of like dealing with people, client relationships, selling myself, and like not selling my work, and like you know, even presenting it. Like, I'm really bad at presenting stuff. Like, it's not my thing. Like, anyone that came to the last week event might have seen that I don't really enjoy it. But it's something, unfortunately, you kind of have to do, especially if you're in a creative job usually, or like freelancing. So yeah, I'm trying to push myself to do more stuff like that, and like I'm doing this again. And thankfully, it's Zoom recorded, which is a million times better for me. But yeah, I do want to get better at stuff like that. And yeah, it was just good to do, because I think after being made redundant as well, I was suddenly very aware that I didn't enjoy the feeling of having my life and my income in the decision of someone else. Like, it was shit to go into work one day and then be told that I didn't have a job. Like, so I think now I'm just trying to like improve those skills and get a bit of a network and get a bit of a client base. And so if I'm ever in that position again, I have something to fall back on. And yeah, that actually led me to doing this course. So it was called Freelance Her. They're based in Manchester. It was all virtually, but I think it was supposed to be in person, but obviously lockdowns happened. And it was just basically a course for women who were freelancers, and it was actually really, really good. Like, there's a lot of people that were in similar situations. They've been made redundant, was struggling to find work, and they were pushing, it just took the opportunity to like do their own thing. Like, I think it was specifically for people in like, it was people in creative industry, but I think you could do other things as well. I think they said like anyone in like creative or digital work. I don't know. It was very open, to be honest, but there was a lot of other like graphic designers and like copywriters and stuff there. So it's really cool to meet kind of like-minded people. And we kind of like mentoring sessions and just some talks, and it was really good for youth networking. And yeah, I kind of wish I didn't do it this year, because I'm so new to kind of doing like the freelancing stuff on the side. I feel like I didn't contribute that much, and that's not what it was about. But like, I think there's stuff maybe in a few years or so which I wish I could have asked, or you know, something I could have reflected on. But because I'd only had a few ad hoc clients, it was more of just like listening to other people's experiences, which was like super, super valuable. So I'm glad I've done it. But yeah, I recommend that. I think they are doing it again. I had a look before I did this, and you can register your interest, but because that was the first time they'd done it, and it was like government funded. So I think, I'm not 100% sure, but it's definitely worth having a look. It is only for women, unfortunately. And registering your interest if it's something you would be interested in, and just having a chat with them. Everyone on the program was super nice, and like, I think even if they're not running it, they'd be happy to like share any resources or similar things. So yeah, that was really good. The other thing I did was another course, which I also recommend. Sorry, this isn't just a massive plug for all the courses I've done and I enjoy. I did an animation course, so absolutely love that. So I know how to use After Effects now, which I definitely didn't at the last Speak Up event. And I did that in Manchester as well. I think they were called Exchange. Definitely recommend that if you're interested. It is, I think it is quite expensive. My old company did pay for that, so that was one good thing. I probably shouldn't slag them off as much as I have done. And it just absolutely loved it, and I love animating, and it's something that I definitely want to improve on and probably go into it a bit more. Like, I think I do enjoy it more than just pure designing. And I also did a digital marketing one, which was good, but I don't feel like that's been as, I've not taken those skills much further, I don't think. But yeah, it wasn't cheap, but it was definitely worth it. And like, it wasn't cheap, but definitely worth it. Really well structured. The guy, I can't for the life of me remember his name, which I'm really annoyed about, but he was absolutely great. And it was nice that everyone else in the course was kind of like other designers that were also just looking to improve the skills and learn how to animate. So it was a fun little week, especially after being in lockdown and working from home. It was nice to like get out and sit in an actual like environment and learn something. Sorry, wine break. Yes, that was really cool. So yeah, if anyone has any questions about that, I'd have to learn. Yeah, and then, so obviously I kind of hinted that I was frustrated at the role that I was in. So I did look for another one, and it was a lot easier. So this was this year, beginning of this year. So things have started to pick up. It was a lot easier than the year before, where obviously everyone was freezing, whereas now definitely had picked up, and it just was so much easier. Like anyone that's looking for the first job now in design or any other creative industry, I know how difficult it is, and it is just shit, and I absolutely hated it, and it was so disheartening. But it does get easier, like as soon as you've got some experience under your belt. Even during the pandemic, it was even a bit easier because I had like a year's worth of work, and yeah, so you keep going because it does get a lot better. And I was I was really pleased to get 2 really good offers, and I was just a bit stuck between them. Like I asked absolutely everyone, and one of them was basically a similar kind of role that I've been previously in. It was very corporate. Again, still not really sure what they did. There was some kind of consultancy. They needed a designer. It was very corporate, and like the corporate just doesn't suit me that well. Like I know I don't enjoy it. Like I actually did law at uni, and one of the big reasons why I went into it is when I was doing all my work experience and trying to get like my foot in the door and stuff, I didn't like how dry it was, and it was just boring. So yeah, I don't really like a too corporate environment, and that's not even in a like rebellious kind of way. It's just like I find it boring. But the money was good. That's what you get. You can get more money when you work for that kind of thing, a lot more perks. And it was a really good offer. And yeah, it was working from home. I would have a team, but there was no office to go to even before the pandemic, I think, which I didn't mind. Like working from home does really suit me. I'm quite like physically lazy as a person. But it does get a bit, because I am like that, I think I need something to get me out, or else I do become a bit of I can just go full on hermit. And then the other job, so that was in a social media marketing agency. It was very, loads of different clients. A lot of them were really interesting, lots of quite cool ones like alcohol brands, e-commerce brands, travel clients. And everyone was like around my age. They had an office based in Manchester. There's an office Donington time. It's just stereotypical like millennial agency, working in the office 3 days a week. So that's a really nice mix for me. And I just knew like I'd enjoy it a lot more. But it was a significantly lower pay that they just couldn't match the other offer. So that was a real big dilemma. Like asked everyone what they would do, and some people thought it was absolutely stupid to even question the pay difference, and some people thought were like, no, I rather enjoy it. Like you're at work so many hours a week, you need to enjoy it. And eventually that's the mentality I had. Like I knew I'd just be miserable if I didn't enjoy it, and I'd end up looking for something else 6 months later. And you can always build up to a higher salary, like 100% always go for something that you know is your worth, and like don't agree to be underpaid. But I'm at the point in my life where I would take a lesser paying job for something I enjoy. And obviously you've got to be realistic. Like if you've got things to pay, like you've got to do what you need to do. But yeah, I could afford, it wasn't a low salary by any means. It was still like a jump up from a previous role. It just wasn't quite as high or quite big as a jump. But I thought I can always work my way back up to it, and I'd rather work my way up to something in a field that I want to actually work in and enjoy than start at the top from something that I don't enjoy, and then you've kind of stuck there because it's harder to go back down because you then get used to a certain salary and a certain way of living. So at least I wouldn't know what I was missing in terms of money because I've not earned that much before. So yeah, I ended up taking the job that I thought I'd enjoy, and so I'm there now. It's called Social Trinity. It's really good. I enjoy it. It's hard work, definitely. Agency is a whole different way of working, and I'd only ever been in-house before. But it's fun and it's varied, and like I have a really good team. Everyone's my age. In fact, I'm probably one of the oldest, which is a bit depressing, but it's just quite cool. And like, yeah, it's intense, like because it's social media as well, like it's just constant and you need to be on all the trends. And even like I feel too old for it sometimes now, like when some people are talking about like the latest TikTok stuff, and I'm like, I don't know what we're talking about. But it's really fun and I enjoy it. And even though it's constant, it is good. And like it can be difficult just because like it is hard to be constantly creative and just churning out ideas, and like burnout is such a big thing in creative industries. So yeah, you can see how it happens, but it's a really supportive workplace. Yeah, I'm just looking forward to kind of like staying there for a bit and progressing and staying in a job for longer than a year, because I can't remember the last time I've done that past like a part-time uni job. And like I said, I want to kind of improve my freelance side of things and stuff. Just because you never know what happens. And like I said, I want to have myself covered, and like I would be interested in working for myself full time one day. And it's fun to do, and I just want to improve as a creative. And yeah, so thank you for listening. Give me a follow. My Instagram is dead. I'm not gonna lie, I've not posted on it in like a good year, but part of me does want to like really start doing it again and pushing, yeah, like I said, my freelancing stuff and posting the projects I've done. Like I've done some really cool stuff recently, and I've not shared it at all because I've just been lazy, to be honest. So yeah, give me a follow, and